up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Here to talk about one of the more interesting vampire movies I think I've ever seen. Not the typical vampire fare, not simply some guy biting the neck of a cute blonde girl. There was a little bit more depth, a little bit more social commentary in this one. Worked out pretty well. Here to break it all down with me, of course, are my two amazing co-hosts, starting with my head of life, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
I'm really glad this movie was suggested because I think I found a fun little gem that I actually thoroughly enjoyed. There was probably one of the most brutal and coolest looking fucking kills in this movie, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it. I like how well this movie was fleshed out, and it felt like, you know, humans never change because humans suck. And that was not intended to be a pun, but there it is. Even when they're vampires, they still suck. That was my mic drop. You're welcome.
And our friend, the shape, the Lone Star State, my man Tex. What's up, brother?
So you're telling me there's a movie set in 2019 about supply shortages?
I didn't want to say it.
A plague started by a bat.
He didn't say where it came
from. Does this sound... I think I've heard of something like this, right? I mean, didn't we just live through something like that? I don't know. I've heard this plot before. Maybe it's an old movie. I don't know. It feels like I lived through this movie, like kind of, sort of in a way. But it's very odd. There's some strange things in this movie. It's, you know, it's not like Hollywood is basically the propaganda division of the CIA or anything. But just saying, you know, just saying one of those things. So, what's up, guys?
Yeah, it's like I said, a very interesting take on the vampire mythology. Not so much about Dracula and, you know, bats and sleeping in coffins. It wasn't kind of the prototypical thing like a Nosferatu or something like that, or something out of an Anne Rice novel. It's not very romanticized. It's very much like if vampires ran the world, here's how they would run things, and yes, they'd be douchebags just like regular humans. But, I mean, let's get into it now. And, of course, we're here to talk about, I have none of my notes with me right now. Give me 1 second to pull my stuff up. I was too busy watching episodes of Chips and eating dinner before I started this thing. I should have been way more prepared for this.
Talk about it for an hour.
Hey, this is a much better movie than I think a lot of people give it credit for.
I thought it was pretty great. Honestly, when I voted in the poll, which, by the way, the poll is up there, what'd you think of the movie? I actually went straight for the top and said great, and I was surprised to see that at current state it's at 33% and good is at 50% of the vote. And
I didn't vote, but I'd call it great as well. I'd have to agree with that.
I think it's pretty damn great. There's some things that are really nitpicky. Some a little kind of an awkward end. It just kind of ended. I'm like, oh, okay, well, bye. But no, I thought it was pretty fucking cool, honestly. I can give, and I know we've talked about it, I can give special effects a pass because I'm like, it looks a little rough sometimes, but overall, I think it was pretty damn good. It's that early 2000s curse. The CG is not quite there, but it's good enough.
But we are here to talk about Daybreakers. Yeah. Daybreakers is a 2009 science fiction action horror film written and directed by Michael and Peter Spierig. I think I pronounced the name right. The film takes place in a futuristic world of 2009 anyway, overrun by vampires and centers around a vampiric corporation which sets out to capture and farm the remaining humans while researching a substitute for human blood. Ethan Hawke plays vampire hematologist Edward Dalton, whose work is interrupted by human survivors led by former vampire named Elvis, played by Willem Dafoe, who has a cure that can save the human species. An international co-production between Australia and the United States, Daybreakers premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2009. It was released in the United Kingdom on January 6th of 2010 and in North America on January 8th of the same year. The film grossed over $50 million worldwide against a $20 million budget and received mixed critical reception. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 68% based on reviews from 155 critics, with an average rating of 6.1 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, quote, though it arrives during an unfortunate glut of vampire movies, Daybreakers offers enough dark sci-fi thrills and enough of a unique twist on the genre to satisfy filmgoers. I think that's kind of fair. Like I said, I think this person who maybe had penned that consensus review didn't maybe didn't quite get what the movie was going for. I think they were probably looking for something more along the lines of the classic vampire tale of, chasing down the blonde girl to turn her into his eternal wife or whatever, but a very different take on what the society would be like. I don't know. Tex, what do you think? Give me some quick thoughts on the movie before we dive into the breakdown.
Yeah, this was the first watch for me. I don't know how this one didn't hit my radar, but it never did. There's a ton of names in here that just I should have paid attention to, but just right over the top. I had no expectations, and I could not be. Well, I said a couple minor nitpicks, but that's just the way anything is. But I couldn't really be any happier besides the minor little stuff. Casting was great. Of course, we'll get into details, in the coming time. But I think this is one that might become I think this one might qualify for a regular rewatch potential here with me. So I enjoyed this.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? What are some of your quick thoughts on the film?
I definitely agree. It was also a first watch for me, and I would also say I don't know how it didn't come across my radar, but I mean, when I think about it now, I mean, 15 years ago, I mean, I was also in high school at this time. There was another vampire at that time named Edward that probably overshadowed this one. I'm just going to say.
Oh, Jesus.
That may have been, as soon as they said his name was Edward, I'm like, motherfucker. That's why I didn't hear about this.
You guys are taking a piss right now, right?
Yeah, they're taking the whole piss. I was thinking maybe more so my excuse was like, again, I was like, it came to a shock to everybody that like I haven't seen every movie ever. Like, yeah, people like get clutch their chest.
Not for lack of
like,
trying,
oh
but we haven't got there yet.
I know. I'm like, people clutch their chest in shock when I tell them I haven't seen a movie. They're like, what? I'm like, I haven't seen like every. No, of course. So, and I was thinking like, again, like 15 years ago, it's not like it is now. Like, I was still going to the Blockbuster and a Hollywood Video at that time. So no, it's not like there's streaming services everywhere and all kinds of stuff that I could, and the internet's not as big at that time to where I could probably reach out, and I probably would have found this eventually. I mean, I did, of course, find it now. And I'm glad I did, but again, it was a different time. And like Tex said, I don't think I really have too many negative things to say about it other than, I've watched movies much older than this, and I'm like we just talked about with Superman. I'm like, I don't care if I see the wires; it was still a fun movie. Like, yeah, I can see the computer pixels, and I'm like, huh?
Your mother didn't like this, Grim. Sorry, but your mother didn't.
Well, no, she hadn't. Sorry. I think she's talking about in that time. It's like you see how I look. She really tried, but.
Start playing the Merle Haggard "Mama Tried" song. We're looking at it right now, folks.
Exactly. No, I'm a good person. Jesus. No, yeah. Well, and that's the funny thing. Like, what Walking Dead started like the year after this, right? And I was real into that. She didn't get into it until about season 5, and then eventually she just kind of gave in and was like,
"Bless your mother's heart. She did her best. Just God bless that woman."
Yeah. So. No, and like she said, trying to convert her. It's like, yeah, no, we were in season 5. And I think me and her binge watched all 5 seasons to get up to that point. And then she'd watched with me ever since to the end of the show. And I got her to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I got her to watch like Tex said, when you talked about the House of Wax remake. Just watch that too. So, but anyway, vampire movie.
I love the fact that I like when you take an old thing and give it a different spin. It's what keeps an old idea fresh. You know what I mean? When you can do that and make it interesting and put some good characters in it and some good actors, like Willem Dafoe is one of those people. It's like me and Jeremy. We all kind of fawn over Willem Dafoe. It's pretty much everything.
Yeah.
We just love Willem Dafoe. So when you can put these scenes together, just make a good movie. You don't have to make the next great cinematic masterpiece. Just make me a good movie. Make me a movie that after a couple of hours of sitting in the theater, I'm going to walk out and be like, that wasn't bad. That was pretty good. You're going to earn my respect just for doing that, because making a good movie is hard. Making a movie, period. Making a bad movie is hard. Making a good movie is 10 times worse. And nobody ever tries to make a bad movie. But I mean, just put a different twist. Look, they could have done like what Twilight did and kind of redefined the vampire genre. And I'm like, no, that didn't work. The whole sparkling in the sun nonsense. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But because they found a way to take all these things that we know and love about the vampire mythology, and rather than spit on it, they just kind of packaged it different, reframed it, and said, instead of putting this in the normal setting of some castle in Transylvania and have some Boris Karloff wannabe, trying to do his best Boris Karloff impression with the long flowing cape and the switch changing into a bat and flying away and biting necks and whatnot. Let's put this in modern times and let's switch it up a little bit. It's not just that a bat bit somebody, because they don't really talk about how this thing comes to be in the movie. They just say that it happened, and now here's where we're at. Here's where we're at in society, and go. We're not. It's like skipping the origin story for Batman again. It's like, dude, we all know how this happens. Let's get to how it affects a different part of life, and focus on that, and make that kind of the driving force behind the story. And I thought it was one of the things that made this movie really, really fun to watch.
Don't you mean Bela Lugosi?
Bela Lugosi, either one.
That's Frankenstein. First call is Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Christopher Lee did Dracula a couple times.
That's fair. That's fair.
He was the Hammer horror Dracula.
Yeah. Let's talk about the work real quick of the I mispronounce their name like all the time. I know I am, but they're the Spierig brothers. Yeah, Spierig brothers. Again, not guys with a long history, but I mean, they've had a couple movies. One of them has been on my radar for a couple of years that I want to watch. I've gotten around to it, but I don't know how much you've had a chance to look into them. Both you guys have seen at least one movie that these guys directed. I don't know, wow. Jeremy, I'll go to you first, since you probably already kind of know. What do you think of kind of their very limited body of work?
Well, I think limited was a good way to put it, because I'm definitely not typing in Google right now.
Well, I guarantee you've seen one movie that they directed, at least one other than this.
I was gonna say, I can't even spell it right. Jesus, I wouldn't doubt it. Son of a bitch. Okay. Well, yeah, that's not really fair. Duh. That's. Oh, am I really about to take a shot at that movie though right now? It's too easy. Tax, you're gonna kick yourself. You know damn well which one it is.
See, I'm trying to think. I know their name, but I can't place it to any movie. I've seen the name before, but I'm trying to think.
I don't know how I didn't catch it. Well, it was.
I'm gonna need some names. I'm gonna need a lifeline on this one, boys. I can't place it.
If you want me to be your phone a friend in the audience,
please be my phone a friend, Regis. Let's do this thing.
Jigsaw, 2017.
Okay, yeah, that was good. I liked their Jigsaw. I was so pissed off whenever we didn't get a Jigsaw 2 with Logan and the whole thing. That was bullshit. And we got we had to get Chris Rock Saw instead of Spiral 2. That's bullshit.
I think, no, actually, I have seen, well, but not counting this one now, I've actually seen 2 then. Because I'm looking at this, Winchester. I saw that movie, which was actually really cool about the Winchester.
That's been on my radar for a while, because the Winchester Mystery House is about 30 minutes from where I grew up, and it's kind of like a local legend.
Oh, cool!
It's a wild, like if you know about it, even it's a wild fucking story. Of course, it's like obviously it goes like actual supernatural and like spooky shit happening,
right?
Of course, you bust a fucking case up and grab a fucking Winchester out, and you're trying to shoot a ghost with it. I'm like, okay, well, sure. Whatever, man. Just don't go down the wrong fucking hallway. You end up on the second.
The gun that won the West.
With a door that goes right outside to straight to the ground. But I was looking at that. I'm like, if that's that movie, yeah, I've seen Winchester and then Daybreakers now, and yeah, obviously Jigsaw. Because again, I can't keep.
Then I've seen a few of their films. I knew I'd seen the name, but I could not fucking place them. Son of a bitch.
I'd recommend Winchester. I'm trying. Yeah, I don't know what any of these.
I've seen that one too. Yeah.
They seem to like Ethan Hawke, because they did another one called Predestination with him. And something called Undead, which looks like the most 2003 shit I've ever seen.
I guarantee you I've seen that one too. I got a feeling I've seen that.
This sounds like it. Let me get you your Undead is a 2003 Australian zombie science fiction comedy horror film. Holy crap. Written and well, thank you. I mean, you could also say zombie science fiction comedy horror film would also be like, Shaun of the Dead, but what is this?
Right.
It looks interesting.
I guarantee you that's one of those that's on Tubi that I watched at 3 a.m. drunk as hell and don't remember, but I watched it. I guarantee you that's one of those films. I told you what I take. I know I've seen it. That's where I've seen it.
It's like I've done that before with like Netflix. I don't know how I came across this one that was like, I don't even remember. And God help me, I probably couldn't find it now. I probably couldn't even try to search for it. It was like zombie dogs, and they were like on an island or some shit, and they were trying to fly away. And it's bad. Like it's the same group of like 5 little dogs that are green screened like next to each other to make it look like a whole pack of dogs. It's so fucking bad, man. Like it's just a bunch of zombie dogs, and they're trying.
They did all their CGI or they made their CGI in MS Paint kind of thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like you can see the green screen, you can see the outline, and it's literally just like the same 4 little dogs that are just copy pasted right next to each other. I'm like, and they're all moving at the same level.
Hey,
like it's so stupid.
You know what? Considering these guys, I'm giving the Spierig brothers an automatic pass since they made Jigsaw, so they get the tech stamp of approval, buddy. That they made a good Jigsaw movie. By God, they get. I'm all for these guys.
I guess since I've seen 3 of them, that I want to put Jigsaw in 3rd place, but I guess Winchester might have to sit in the middle because I guess I would leave this one of the 3 the one I like the most. I guess for historically, I like the Winchester. It might be a very close second. Shit.
Yeah, I give them a lot of credit for. Look, it's not unusual that they go after the same actor for a lot of their stuff. I mean, DiCaprio and Scorsese have worked together about 1,200 times, and they only got about 4 or 5 Oscar nominations, a bunch of awards, and box office to show for it. But yeah, I mean, this movie is really good. I think it's very well done. I haven't seen Predestination. It's always been one of those ones that's like, if I get a chance to sit down and burn a couple hours watching a movie, I'd watch it. Winchester's one that's been on my radar for a long time because, like I said, I grew up near there. And no, BJ, while I have not been in the Winchester house, I've driven by it about 12,000 times. Because where the Winchester house is, that's if there's 2 ways from my hometown that you can go up to San Francisco. One of them is to take the one up the coast, which is the really scenic drive. The other way is to take 17 up and hit some other highway and go into San Francisco from there. If you take the 17, go over the mountain and then up into the South Bay from there, that's when you drive by the Winchester houses on the left. And you can see it from the highway. I mean, it's in that. Well, I mean, at least it was last time I was through there. That area wasn't really developed. I'm sure now it probably was more developed, but it was really one of the biggest buildings on the highway. And then off to the right, you would see like where Levi Stadium is now, and across the parking lot is the big amusement park in the area, Great America and stuff.
Why would you ever want to go to that place for? It's not like there's a quality football team or anything. I mean, what are you talking about?
I mean, there's only one. They're going to be putting a new trophy there, hopefully in a couple weeks. But big parade there.
Wait till Taylor Swift takes that trophy away from you in a couple weeks. You just wait.
Who?
It's going to happen. You just wait. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Who? I've never heard of Taylor Swift. But yeah, I've never been there. It was one of those things like growing up. I was like, I should really go up there one day and check it out. And I just kind of never did. And now I live 1,000 miles away and I can't just go there for a day and check it out. But yeah, I think it's one of the things I've been telling myself for years. Is like, when I go home, I really need to go do this just because, I should have done it years ago when I was a kid. But yeah, Winchester is one of those movies that's been on my radar for a long time. It's got Helen Mirren in it, which doesn't hurt at all. I love Helen Mirren. She's a Hall of Famer, of course. Yeah. And then it's the story of the Winchester and the story of of old lady Winchester and her constantly building onto the house for all these other reasons. You guys can Google it and look up what her reasons were.
It's wild.
It's an interesting story.
It's a very wild story, and it's something that even when I was a kid, I still remember the TV commercials that played for that in the area. They had like a Winchester Mystery House song that was kind of written against it was kind of written to sound like the Addams Family tune. It was really crappy.
Cool.
It was a really crappy 80s radio commercial.
Man.
But yeah, it was. I still to this day just add randomly. I'll remember that old radio ad. But yeah, I mean, dude, there's a couple of bangers on here that have looked really interesting. I just haven't got a chance to check out. And like I said, a movie like this is what draws me to draws attention to these directors. Like, hey, maybe I should look at some more of their stuff. I got to be honest. I mean, past Predestination in 2014, Winchester in 2018, they got a couple of nominations for that. They haven't really done much in the last several years that I could see. Let's see. Jigsaw, starring Helen Mirren. Both films, however, received negative reviews. Fuck the reviews. Just go watch the movie. You'll review it. And there's not really anything else that they've done. So I don't know if they've decided to go in and do some other things in entertainment, or if they just decided they wanted to manage the Piggly Wiggly and wherever the hell they're from. Oh, they're German-Australian film directors. So
I was going to say they got to be
back to. Maybe they went back to Australia and were like, we're going to hang out and put some shrimp on the Barbie there, mate. But yeah, I'm really surprised that with a couple of decent movies, they haven't gotten some more work and done some more things out there. It's kind of odd that they seem to have just fallen off the map. Of course, I say that, and they're going to release some big movie tomorrow. So,
given that they're from Australia and they're from Australia, and they seem to make a dystopian world pretty fucking well. I'm like, you could make another Mad Max movie.
Good.
That would be awesome. That'd be pretty sweet. Like a sequel.
But let's talk now about the Electric Boogaloo.
Hell yeah, that's always the sequel.
Yeah, but let's talk now about the cast. And I mean, dude, there's no lack of talent in this movie at all. I mean, you've got Sam Neill right there, of course. You've got Ethan Hawke. There was no shortage of great acting in this. And I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Again, led by Ethan Hawke and Sam Neill, but kind of a great job overall. What do you think of the cast, and who stood out the most for you?
Frank's is his little earworm in me. Like midway through the movie, I'm like, "Fuck!" He's gonna ask me which one stood out to me, and I'm like, "God damn it! I don't know who I want to pick." Shit, I don't know because like this is, because then I tried to like I don't want to swing for the big people like Ethan Hawke, Sam Neill, and Willem Dafoe, because they're all awesome in their own right. I mean, like Ethan Hawke's Ethan Hawke, man. I don't really know what else to say about that. Sam Neill, it's like the thing with Sam Neill is like we all know, even if you didn't know his name, like he's that guy from Jurassic Park, right? The dinosaur man.
Oh yeah,
the dinosaur
I can hear Bruni Gamer now. The dinosaur man. Yeah. So, but really, man, he's like a hell of a fucking actor. Like, watch anything. I think of last week or last review, I mentioned something about Requiem for a Dream. I'm like, I think he was in The Tudors. Even like, yeah, go watch this guy. He's got this like just the way he expresses himself and like his little mannerisms. He's got this sly like charisma to him that like for this movie too, especially it works because he plays that slimy like business guy, but it's a vampire, so he's kind of got again that weird kind of charisma about it, and it's like it kind of makes you feel a little uneasy. Like when he gets real close to Ethan Hawke, I'm like, oh, fuck, is he gonna bite him? Like what the fuck? And he backs up. I was like, Jesus, you scared me, Sam. And Willem Dafoe is Willem Dafoe. I mean, he had a fucking shotgun crossbow combo. Try saying that a couple times.
Look, suck on that, Daryl. Put that little shitty crossbow to shame. You got a fucking 12 gauge double barrel under it. You know what I mean? So.
He had a boomstick and a crossbow. Man, he was ready for everything. I mean, when he whipped out the arms of the crossbow,
Evil Dead before he made his, he watched both Dead.
Said Deadites and walk aware. I mean, the thing about, like Frank said, like we love Willem Dafoe because I love, when you talk about when he did the last Spider-Man movie, he's like, I want to come back and I'm not half-assing, I'm whole-assing. I'm in this, I want to be in it, and I want to do it. I'm like, I respect him so much for even when he did the original Spider-Man with Tobey back in like the early 2000s. They were all like, God, this guy is ripped, like for no reason. He gets into it, man. I'm like, right. You fast forward
for that one scene where he's shirtless, there's that one scene.
Where he jumps up on the fucking thing and then jumps to the doctor. Yeah, he's like in insane shape. And like even 20 years later now, when he did the new Spider-Man, I can appreciate that. So dude gets into his craft and he loves it. I wanted to say maybe like Ethan Hawke's brother and try to go somewhere else with it because I'm like, he's got a really conflicted place, man. Like, his brother right there. Probably really regretting his fucking life choices right now because I'd say life choices because you are immortal again, my guy, and you're looking pretty tasty. He's kind of in a fucking rock and a hard place. He's part of the military that hunts down. I mean, we're gonna get into it, but he hunts down like humans for all this vampire society. So he's kind of just really in the fucking worst place he could possibly be, and especially right there when he knows that look on his face right there, that is like, oh, shitting your pants. Yeah, you're gonna die. But there was still that like conflict of like it's his brother's involved in this, and also he's trying to not. I don't know. When you're talking about the fate of the rest of, I can't even say humanity. They're all vampires, but what's left of humanity, rather, And I think the thing with the whole subplot with Sam Neill's daughter in the movie, I think is what kind of started to set him over the edge a little bit. Like, seeing her as a what they call him, subsidiary, or what they call him, the
subsidiary
or something.
The subsidiary,
the subdwellers, the people that go.
The man bat looking people.
Right.
Best thing I can. Like, this is man bat. I think seeing her that thing, it got a little goofy, but then it's like, there's practical, there's CG, there's practical. I'm like, no, it's.
I thought the wings were a bit small for that creature. They should have been larger, I thought.
Well, I see what it's trying to do. It's like it's trying to proportionalize it into a bat. So I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, but it'll like not width-wise, but make them longer, I think. I think they would have looked better.
Out more.
Yeah.
Well, it's like bees. Bees shouldn't be able to fly either, but they do. So I don't know.
Right.
But like seeing her getting walked out there and fucking like kind of killed. She had the worst fucking day possible. She comes back, sees her dad, gets fucking bitten to a vampire, and then the next day walked out into the sunlight and exploded. I'm like, God, your life just sucked in a matter of like 24 hours. I was gonna stick with his Ethan Hawke's brother in the movie.
Yeah, again, for me, it's like it's really about the back and forth between Sam Neill and Ethan Hawke's character, and those guys are just brilliant in it. The one, I mean, the girl, I forget her name, Liv, not Liv. That's the other movie.
Aubrey.
Aubrey.
Is that her name?
Audrey. Audrey. Because Willem Dafoe called her Odd a few times. Audrey.
That's right. But Audrey Bennett. But I don't think her character got quite enough to do. I mean, she's a big part of it, but it seems like she was just there as kind of a way to introduce him to Willem Dafoe's character Elvis, and then just kind of like wasn't really in the movie the rest of the time, except for pressing the button during the whole burning him over and over again until it becomes the cure thing. After that, other than being the damsel in distress, which is kind of what she was in the movie, I don't think I have a picture of her in the movie where she just sitting there.
Shout out to her for not wearing a bra. That was blatantly obvious in this film. That was headlights were on, buddy. I'm telling you what.
You gotta,
it is what it is.
You gotta imagine, man. Vampires are cold, so we didn't see what Sam Neill did before that scene.
Yeah.
He got her tied down to a chair, sipping on her blood in a fucking wine glass. I was like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, the one, and I hate to go with one of the leads, but the one that really stands out for me is Sam Neill. I mean, because I was watching him in this scene, having this conversation, and I was thinking to myself, he's using essentially the same tone of voice that he was using in the dinner scene at Jurassic Park, where he's kind of going into explaining why this might be a bad idea. And I'm like, same tone, same actor, different dialogue, different situation. But I'm like, and I'm looking at two totally different things here. Yeah, it's like I'm listening to Sam Neill, explain all this in Jurassic Park, and I'm like, there's a little bit of warning, there's a little bit of hopefulness, there's something very positive about him. Here, I'm just like, I'm expecting him to rip both these people's heads off right now and to be the ultimate bad guy.
Yeah.
And I remember this another movie, one that I definitely want to get to for all of us to talk about, where he starts the movie kind of as the Alan Grant kind of character, hopeful to get answers, and ends the movie very much the bad guy as Event Horizon. I know you guys have seen that one.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That's one of the great sci-fi horror movies of the time in my mind, and it's never gotten the credit. But I was thinking back to that movie, and I'm like, that he can play this dichotomy really, really well. So it's like in the beginning, he really is not a mentor, but a friend to Ethan Hawke's character. Not a boss, sure, but I mean they're very much on the same page. Different ideas, but very much on the same page. And just like as the situation and the status quo changes for each of these characters over the course of the movie, he turns on to the full-on villain, and he does it without doing the whole hand-wringing thing or like, I'm gonna blow up the East Coast with the weapon. He doesn't do it with that tacky bullshit. He really is just that one character through that. I don't think he really yells at any point in this movie. He doesn't raise his voice, kind of like Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Never raises his voice, never threatens anybody. There's this peaceful calm in his evil tone, and I'm like, wow, that makes it even better.
Well,
so to me, the one who really stands out in this movie is Sam Neill.
Like the tone and cadence of his voice, like I said, like just the way like his little mannerisms and shit. Like I said, that charisma he's got, it's just like, god damn, he could be talking about fucking again, like taking over the whole human race, or talking about the fucking sports game that happened last week. And I'm like, what the fuck? I feel like he's gonna stab me in the face.
Have y'all seen? I think it's the Omen 3, or it may be the Omen 4. He plays the adult version of Damien, where he's like in control of the UN or like whichever world body they have in that movie. I think they say the UN. It might be the European Union. It's one of those world bodies. But he plays the grown-up version of Damien, eerily similar to kind of how he plays this bad guy. But Sam Neill does. I thought it was so. I mean, y'all touched on it already. Frank just did, but I mean, obviously he's Alan Grant. That's who we know him as. But to see the flip version of that, that was very cool to see the scientific bad guy version. But I mean, he's such a quality actor. He's done a bunch of good stuff throughout his career. But, I mean, one thing that I think they messed up on casting in this movie, you have Willem Dafoe named Elvis. Every time we see him on scene, he should have used a different Elvis, like maybe he gets hit and knocked out, right? He stands up and goes, ooh, I'm all shook up, or hunk, he uses the hunk. Every time we see him, he uses a different Elvis tagline from a song or whatever, like when they're going into the building. Oh, this is some Jailhouse Rock shit, just some kind of hokey tagline. It would have been hilarious to see, dude. That's one thing I would have done with that Willem Dafoe role, because he was cool in this movie too.
Yeah, one of the reasons why they named him Elvis was because his character Elvis is because Willem Dafoe is a big Elvis fan. And in a weird trip, apparently his favorite song is Hunk of Burning Love. And in a weird coincidence, I don't know if this was planned or not, the movie actually released on Elvis's birthday here in the United States.
Really? That's cool.
In a weird twist of coincidence. I can't say it was planned like that, because it wasn't a movie about Elvis. It just happened to have a character who was obsessed with Elvis, but it worked out that way.
One question about the casting, though. Who was the guy, that Hawaiian guy that played the senator? I've seen him somewhere, and I could not place it.
I know where you've seen him.
Jeremy knows where you've seen him. I was going to say, because
where have I seen him?
Like I know where I've seen him.
Go ahead. There's this little indie series called Star Wars. He was definitely the guy that was.
Oh, Django Fett.
No, he was no. He was the guy. Was he in 3? Yeah, he was in 3 for a hot second.
He was in 2 and 3, I believe.
I think he was in 3 more so in the background, but he was the one that came there with Padme, the captain of her security. Yeah, the
he had the eye patch. He had the eye patch. Yeah. Okay, I knew I had seen him. Like where? Because I didn't have time to look any of this up. Like I said, I literally watched this movie on lunch in my truck today, so I didn't have time to do as much homework as normal. But I'm like, I know this guy. I can't place him. It bugged me all day. But thank you for that. I completely forgot where I saw him from.
I hate that. Like I was like, that's Captain Typho. Holy shit! Of Her Majesty's Secret Service, or whatever.
In a manner of speaking.
Or what? Make it so. Yeah.
But let's move forward and talk about the plot of this movie again. Not your typical vampire movie. It's a very different thing. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. I mean, what did you think of the plot of the movie? It's again a different take. Did it work out for you?
For being a different take, and given the fact that in this time, unfairly, I would say, because it was overrated. But I mean, you could say the Beatles was overrated, but somebody had to be, I guess. Is my long-winded way of saying, Twilight kind of had a fucking chokehold on the world at that point. So,
yeah.
And I that's the one thing I will say that I hate. That's when I grew up. I'm like, God damn, why was Twilight like just the biggest goddamn thing when I was in high school? Can't date any girl that didn't fucking. Which one are you, Team Edward or Team Jacob? I'm like, I'm Team. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. I'll go see the fucking movie.
Fuck you. That's right.
Yeah, I'll go see the movie. Whatever. But I enjoyed this actually because like even the world setup and the it feels like believable. Like I said, it's a twist. It's not like your classic, like tiptoeing through the dark like this with the cape around your neck and Bela Lugosi. But there's been
Love Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, it's like we love Bela Lugosi, but we also love the Lost Boys, right? You got different iterations of vampires put into different types of themes of movies, right? So making this seem a little more, I don't say grounded, but in the what if scenario of something like this, like a weird dystopian kind of apocalyptic setup, I like that. I'm like, yeah, I could see that because again, people suck, especially when they're vampires, and I'm gonna run that joke into the ground with a wooden stake. Just in the first couple minutes, and then as it went on, like I feel like it felt like they took logical steps to think like, okay, so what do? You can't go outside, obviously. How do you function like as a society? You're all doing stuff at night. You see flashes of like, oh, here. The funniest thing that caught me right in the beginning was like the school zone sign that said 2 to 3. I was like, 2 to 3 what? Oh, 2 to 3 a.m. I was like, oh God, it's gonna be that kind of. That's funny. That's too fucking funny. It started to roll around in my head. And you have things that are like, so how would you drive? They have cars that have like conversions of like daytime and nighttime driving, where daytime it just like,
blacks out.
All the people that have that legal tent on their fucking windows, you're probably laughing.
Limo tent.
It just
triple limo tent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they've got cameras mounted on your car so you can still see straight ahead, your mirrors, and behind you. I'm like, this is so clever. They thought about like every angle of like, what would this society look like? And and then it hits you with like a bomb drop of like something right out of the Matrix. I thought of the Matrix when he walks in there and sees like that whole human farm. If you know what I'm talking about, like from the Matrix, instead of machines, imagine vampires doing this, where humans are just hooked up to these machines just for blood. And I'm like, and I hate that I turned the captions on because the caption said like you could hear them like crying. I'm like, stop, that's fucked up. No, I didn't need to, I know they're suffering. Jesus. Yeah, and there were some twists in this that like I wasn't expecting, and then there was a twist in the twist. So I mean this movie kind of it took me by surprise. I thought it was actually pretty cool, and as dumb as it might be, don't go sunning and driving, kids, or otherwise you might find out you're the cure for humanity.
Yeah. Oops. way to fall into that one there. Willem Dafoe.
I almost thought like, this is the water thing from Aliens, isn't it? Where I'm like, really? But I mean, okay, whatever. It's kind of like that freak occurrence, like 1 in a million chance that even fucking worked. And I'm like, wait, but it does work. It's repeatable. So interesting. And then you had a twist on top of that. Because I was going to say, like we said, Sam Neill keeps that tone. But I was like, the only time he kind of lost his fucking cool right there was right at the end. And I'm like, when he realized, oh shit, I'm going to die. I was like, he's like, yeah, what did your blood do to me? I was like, what did it do? I don't know what happened. Ethan Hawke drops that fucking bomb on him, like, yeah, cured vampire blood. I was like, what? Wait a minute. I don't know if this problem actually solves itself the way you might think, but okay. It was fun.
Tex, what did you think of the plot? Again, very different kind of vampire movie than what we've ever gotten. Did it work for you?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Obviously, I mean, in 2008, when they made this, they didn't know what kind of world we would actually have in 2019 with very eerily similar circumstances, I guess you could say. Assuming all of this isn't a conspiracy because I have questions. But the way that it plays out, what I thought was so clever in how they did it, obviously we're going for spoilers here, the problem ended up being the answer to the problem. Like the whole vampirism is the cure for vampirism. I've never seen a vampire story where they do something like that. And that's it. They're looking for, I guess it's like the one question I have about the plot is, okay, is the cure for the vampirism, because obviously we saw the ones in the underground, when they get drug out, they just burn automatically, right? So is the key to it like being wet while you do it, and then you get out of it, and then you're cured? Because there's a couple inconsistencies with that. If you really think about it, because let's say all of those that were chained by the neck and drug out at the end had a blanket covered in water over them, do they get better? I mean, it's a couple inconsistencies there, but overall, I mean, I like how they touched on it on different levels, because you'll get like a news clip, just cut into the film for 5 to 10 seconds. Then you'll see, like you said, how do we drive? They'll show the advertisement for the underground subway tunnels, and here's how we can walk around. They did a lot of world building with very minimal effort and time done into it. That's one thing I like that the writers did with this. You get even obviously I don't guess they made a Daybreakers 2. They may have. I may never heard of that one either. But if they never did, you got a full story, because obviously the ending is setting up for, we're going to go to the next town over and start this thing over again. It felt very similar to the Alice version of the Resident Evil movies, if you all remember those from the early 2000s. This film felt very similar to that, and I like that because I'm a fan of those as well. But no, the plot for this works. It takes the vampirism, makes it a worldwide problem of a different kind. And we've been getting vampires since the 1930s, so we had to do something with it. And hey, fuck you, Twilight, because in the 2000s we actually had Underworld, which is an awesome vampire series. If you haven't seen those, go watch those. You have Daybreakers here. I'm sure there's other vampire films that are good, but yeah, this plot works. There's a lot of the twists take you for a ride. That's one thing I do like about this. I like that.
Yeah, the vamp.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the first couple minutes, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna look like an Evanescence video, isn't it? It's gonna be all dark and the lighting and shit." I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun. I love it. This is the mood right here." And I even got like kind of jarred by like the sunlight, like when he goes out to meet Willem Dafoe. I don't know why it didn't click. I just thought like, oh, she passed him a note. Okay, meet here at noon. I'm like, oh, okay. And then like when you see him reading the note again, I was like, wait, at noon? How the fuck are you gonna do that? I don't know why I didn't think of it the first time. I was like, wait, how are you gonna go out there in the middle of the day? And it does give you that cool like shot of him. It almost felt like I Am Legend, like when he's driving down the middle of New York City and there's no one there, like no one's outside, obviously. With a population of less than 5% of people that are human still. Yeah, and everyone else is vampires. You're not going to see them. So, like, even the sunlight to that scene was just jarring to me. Like, ah, Jesus, why is it all bright? Ew. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'm sitting over here in the dark corner.
I love the color palette of this film. I mean, because you go from the real world, you see regular greens and, on the ground and blues in the sky and the nature, but then it cuts to the city and it's these like blacked out buildings with just like the LED strip kind of lighting here and there. And it makes it feel very cold, very, very, look at that shot right there. You could almost say that's like the same tunnel as that one from Resident Evil where the lasers come out of the wall and whatever. But the color palette of this film is gorgeous to watch. It's just, especially those dark scenes, because look at that right there. It's all grays and whites and blacks, and the way that it blends together.
Their eyes like pop too, like that yellow for their eyes against it.
The really eyes cool. That pop, and then the scene of where they go to that coffee bar, that shit, even the reds on that were on the girl's clothing and her hair, they even have like a bright, like a high contrast red tint to them. So it pops very well. It looks amazing. I thought they did well for the color palette too. I thought it worked.
I liked it, like the homeless man like had the red eyes. I was like, oh shit, he might be like worse off. Like the little ritzy old couples walking by him and they see him and they've got yellow eyes. I'm like, oh, okay. So he's kind of worse for wear. I kind of see where it was going there, but I don't think they touched on that again. It was just like, oh yeah, here they are. They're all man bats now. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh shit!
Well, you do see a lot of the people, because I think it goes back to that couple later on in the movie, and you can see like the lack of blood having its effect on them. They've got like,
weren't they watching them being taken out? Wasn't that them?
They've got like the meth sores, and the ears are getting a little pointy, and they're looking.
She was like trying to hide her face, and I was like, oh, yeah.
And they're looking a little haggard. So this human blood shortage is definitely getting to them. But I mean, the one scene that I want to touch on is there are two scenes actually. I was only able to get images of one of them. The opening scene is very, very important for most movies, and I was blown away at the one with the little girl writing this note, and then she walks out there, and I'm thinking, cute little girl, what's about to happen?
Horrible
I was like, wait a minute, the sun's about to come up. And, well, I mean, the CGI wasn't great, but it was. But I was thinking more about the moment. I was thinking more about the moment where you kind of where you kind of realize everything that's happening, and I'm like, and then it cuts to like little lines that she wrote on her what we would realize is her suicide note, and thinking to myself, I'm just like, that's. I mean, for one, we're all so sensitive about kids these days being bullied, and kid suicide is a serious problem. It should be.
Kids shouldn't be safe in a horror movie. Kill them all. Kill them all.
Well, I mean,
this is a little different. They're not vampires. They're not vampires like this.
But it's like that was one of those scenes. Like it really sucks you into the movie right off the jump, and you start to feel it. I mean, because look at this cute little girl, pretty eyes. I mean, could be any 12, 13-year-old girl in the world ever. And then it ends up like this, which is awful. It's not even scary. It's just like, wow, what sends you to this? And then the movie takes its time explaining to you why her and probably so many other people have this feeling. They're like, we don't want to live forever. I mean, in the movie, in the note, that line is like, never grow up or something like that. And I was
never
like,
gonna change.
Yeah, that would be kind of awful. It's like the toll.
Immortality would actually be awful.
Well, I mean,
that scene though,
it'd be a mixed bag at best. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't want to do that.
Oh, I'd live forever. Oh, I'd sign me up for Team Vampire. You can go ahead and bite me now. I'm down. I have an issue with this scene because you watch this scene, and then when you first meet Sam Neill's character, and he's talking about how his daughter turned away from this and she didn't want to do this. I thought, like when I first saw the scene, and then I thought that was the daughter, and then after he gives that speech, the real daughter shows up. I'm like, wait a minute,
and
this is kind of.
That threw me. I thought that was a framing device. I thought that was like much later.
Yeah.
And then it jumps back to like
that's what I'm saying.
I thought she was going to get to that point and end up killing herself. I thought, oh shit. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. It was still an impactful opening. But
that was the other scene that really got me. And Tubi doesn't let me take screen grabs anymore, or else I would have gotten a good picture of it. Like, why am I drawing a blank on her name? Isabel something or other. What's her name? She was in Isabel Lucas. She did this the same year she did the Transformers movie that she did. But it's like that moment where the interaction with Sam Neill, with her father, was cool in and of itself. But I love the way her death plays out in the movie. Because it's like she's shackled to the back of this Humvee, and she's being drugged out with the rest of these subdwellers who are going. I mean, they're being executed. I mean, straight up, they're being executed. And the way she turns back and looks at the camera and makes contact with his brother's brother, and that's kind of his coming to Jesus moment. But it's like watching her slowly, like it was a reminiscent of that opening scene, and then watching the shackles being drugged through the burning remains of these vampires. I was like, that is a very wild, very crazy scene. It wasn't scary, but it was traumatic. You know what I mean? It's something that, as a viewer, it puts you in the frame of mind that you need to be in for the rest of the movie. A very well done scene, probably the best in this entire movie, in my opinion.
With the old couple standing there too, it almost felt like those, everybody go to the town square. We're executing somebody today. Like they all line the streets to go watch these, subdwellers get fucking.
Let's go torched. See the hangings.
Right. And then it's supper time, Jesus Christ, man! Like it was kind of messed up. Like, oh, there he goes. He's walking too close to the sun.
Seriously, I'm not even touching my phone, and it does this for no reason. I hate the freaking internet. You wait till I'm a vampire. I'm gonna find whoever screwed this up, and they're gonna pay. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a pretty visceral scene. Like, it's like, man, this subplot still fucking hit really hard.
Well,
it also gave us an opportunity to see just how cold Sam Neill's character is. Literally. I mean, he like it's like his own daughter, without even really any thought to how this might affect her, what she wants. Does he want to at least make an exception for her to kind of let her live as a human if she wants? He's just like, no, this is gonna happen. I mean, he's so broken. He's so set on this path that he's like, even my own daughter's well-being is not gonna register with me right now. It's a very, very Thanos-y kind of moment where he's gonna go ahead and throw her off the cliff at Boromir to get the stone. You know what I mean?
It was still kind of cowardly though, because like Ethan Hawke even tells him like, oh yeah, was turning your daughter part of your plan? And he's like, oh, that's right, you didn't do it, did you? Which, I mean, that gave you that twist. I was like, oh shit. But also, yeah, he kind of got right in his face like, yeah, you couldn't even have the balls to do it yourself though. So,
well, I think y'all are missing the forest for the trees here as far as that scene where they're all being drug out. To me, the reaction from Sam Neill, because we expect him to be cold and everything else, I thought the coldest part or the coldest reaction from anybody was the news clips of them interviewing just regular citizens who are also vampires. Be like, yeah, well, there's just not enough to go around, so let's just go ahead and kill them because otherwise we're not going to be able to afford. Like they had the mom say, you know what, I've got my family, we can't afford to buy the blood anymore. And then the guy with the goatee, they show him talking. So even the regular people who are still monsters have the same reaction that Sam Neill does, which I thought really was, for the social commentary of this film, this could fit really in any generation, but especially in the times we're living in now where inflation's never been higher, stuff's never been more expensive. There's food shortages. There's shortages on so many things. That to me really stood out because you've got normal people who are like, yeah, well, screw those other guys. I need this over here, so kill them. That to me stood out more than anything.
Well, that's why I say there's an interesting social commentary in this, is because in the time that we 100%. Live in now, where we're one bad enchilada that some politician eats away from all-out war with either ourselves or some other country, that we're one missed meal away from sending ourselves back to the Stone Ages. So yeah, it's very interesting.
You're only today. 3 days away from tyranny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
But
anarchy, excuse me, not tyranny.
Yeah, and let's talk about the part. I know you guys are going to tear it up a little bit. You kind of already have. Let's talk about the special effects. I mean, again, not great, but I mean, good in spots.
Well,
could have been better for the overall in the movie, but I mean, I thought they were pretty good. But I don't know. I'll go to you first, Tex. What do you think of the special effects?
Obviously, okay, like I said, I'm watching a lot of early 2000s horror this year, which I'm having a blast with, by the way. It's good with the bad, like you said. They start with that CGI burning up of that little girl. My God, that was absolutely horrible. But this movie redeems itself when you see the creature like that. That early 2000s, that looks excellent. But there's two scenes for me that redeem this movie, and it's the practical stuff that they did with the effects. One, when Sam Neill is getting torn apart in the elevator, and they rip his head off, and that practical head comes off. Now, don't look too close at the face because it looks nothing like Sam Neill. Like I actually paused on that. Whoever did that live cast did a horrible job. Maybe they ran out of money or they're just bad at the job. I don't know. But the other scene to me that really stood out for the effects wise was when all of the soldiers are just tearing each other apart. That right there is why I love early 2000s horror films. You get blood and gore, like they turn the knob to 11 and break it off. The blood that's flying out, you see limbs flying, people are getting eaten up. That looks so good. I don't know how much of the blood was real and some was fake. Like it looked like there was maybe like a 50-50 split. I'm not sure, but it looked great. And by the end of it, whenever Ethan Hawke and Audrey or whatever walk out and there's this gigantic flesh pile and it looks like Evil Dead 2 just happened in this room. The effects of how they did all the bodies and the sticky.
Oh, here he goes again.
Are you kidding me? I hate it. never mind. Like I said, that early
Nosferatu's over there flicking
shot,
the switch.
it's probably because I mentioned a certain plague that's very similar or something. They're probably trying to shut me out. It's probably what's happening here.
As soon as I saw that and the fucking calendar said 2019, I'm like, motherfucker, we're making a COVID joke, aren't we? Like,
if I die, it wasn't. I didn't do it myself. Just know that ahead of time. But no, I love the practical effects of how they did that whole soldier massacring scene. That was, just a beautiful shot scene, and hey, gore, baby, give me all of it. Oh, look at that right there.
There it is.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
That was so wild.
I especially loved it. You can kind of see it like on the right side up in the upper right-hand corner, like the arms that kind of slowly flew through the air.
Yeah.
Body parts going everywhere. You guys are messing up the damn Trans Am. That nice Trans Am back there.
What's so funny about this is like, okay, the first soldiers that go in and bite, they're going to get turned, but the guys standing back holding their guns, you'd think they'd be like, hey, wait a minute. I don't have to deal with this anymore. That guy just got better. Jim, come here. And he bites him on the arm, and then he's better. Realistically, you would think that was how this would go, but this is the climax of a horror movie, so we need everybody to die. We need a high body count, so everybody goes. So I always appreciate that.
Yeah, Jeremy, special effects is right up your alley. What did you think of the effects?
Yeah, that definitely had like if you know how like zombie, I don't know how to say it, like a zombie effect in a video game where it's like one person's the infected and you kill a player. Now both of you are going. It's like you have to. It keeps spreading out, right? That's how that works. I thought the opening scene, while it was, it went right for it. I mean, you're taking a pretty heavy topic like suicide and also imposing it on a small child. And I'm like, damn. But then I was like, wow, what the hell was that? I was like, oh, please don't. I mean, like, you're the first opening scene. I was like, ooh, that was rough. That was rough. I was like, okay, it's whatever. It's 2009. I'll let it go because, like Tech said, all of a sudden I kind of forgot about it. It all came back.
Yeah.
I'm sure that one that comes into Ethan Hawke's house when he's there with his brother. I'm sure that might have been like a practical suit or maybe an animatronic or something with some pretty limited movement. But because it cut to like where his brother's like slashing it open with a knife and then cut its head off, and I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. And some of it looked a little off, and you intercut both, but it still worked for me. The flames, I'm like, yeah, it's like fire, water. Even.
I like the flames, though. I thought that looked pretty cool, especially on Ethan Hawke in that wine.
Yeah, it works.
Whatever.
I'm just saying. I mean, like fire.
That effect.
Things in nature like that are kind of inherently hard to, maybe not now, but like they're kind of hard to emulate because, again, like I said on the last one, your eye can detect, like, something's not right. You know how something moves, how something flows, how the wind moves, how flames react, right? So if it's off, like your brain just kind of be like, yeah, that's not right. But no, it worked. And the blood, and like I said, I know I complained about this. I don't think we reviewed it because, I mean, I didn't finish the damn show, but Secret Invasion, I'm like, why did Martin Freeman have fake blood? Dude, you just easy.
Why did Nick Fury make out with a freaking alien and married to one?
Hey, man. He was inspired by Jay. He was the first motherfucker to see a new galaxy and find a new alien species. Fuck it. There he goes. Homeboy fucked an alien. I don't know. I heard that in the back of my head when I saw that. I was like, he got it. Where was? Oh yeah, no. And some of the like the gore and when it all just kind of explodes at the end, man. It didn't look like cheap or it just like you said, it looked like the end of a freaking Shakespeare play. Everyone is dead and in pieces all over the floor. I think it worked pretty well. I'm sure they used like some practical blood. Even when he has Ethan Hawke's brother go and bite Sam Neill's daughter. Like I'm sure there was like blood running down his face, and then like there's splatter of blood. She's like holding her neck, and I'm like, shit. It was very visceral, and it was believable. So,
well, on that scene, if you pause it, the up front stuff looks like practical blood, but the stuff in the back looks like it might have been CGI'd in. Like just the way it kind of flows out. Like you have to like pause it to really kind of see what I'm talking about. If you're just watching it all the way through, it passes the eye test. But you know, I'm a gore nerd and I can't help myself. So you know,
I mean, I work in a haunt. Trust me, I know. I got to make gore look believable.
Right?
I'm getting in people's faces all day. Well, speaking of eyes, I was wondering, I'm like, are these contacts or is this like an effect? And I'm pretty sure it was an effect because when I realized later, it's the whole when they turn back into a human, it just kind of goes away. I was like, okay, now that's cool. That was pretty clean how it transitions from the yellow back to their natural eye color, or back in some cases, and then you end up in like 30 different places all over the room. So, yeah, I think the effects did well. I think just like I said, it was giving me nitpicky. Just kind of a rough opening scene of the girl bursting into flame. Even the ones that burst into flames later, I thought it was pretty fucking cool. Like when he's taking that wooden spear and just poking him in the chest, and they just like burst. I was like, whoa, that's kind of cool. Don't stand too damn close
because he Van Helsing impression.
He got put on his ass, yeah. So I'm sure the humans figured that one out real fucking fast. Like, don't just stand right there and stab him because you're gonna get a blast back.
Yeah, me not being the expert on the practical stuff like Jeremy is, and not watching nearly as much blood and guts and spit and ass as Tex does over the course of a year.
Damn right.
But I didn't.
My specialty. It's why I'm here.
Yeah, there's only
trust me.
It's not easy necessarily to take me out of a movie with bad special effects because to me the point is the scene. But like the one of the girl, I was like, I give it a little bit of a pass for being at this point now 15 years old or something like that. So it's like 15 years ago, this is a pretty good effect. Yeah. It's like the stuff in the wine fermenter and stuff. I thought that was kind of on par with what we got from like Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider or something like that. Because I never particularly thought those. Yeah, about the same time.
I love that. That may be my favorite Marvel movie.
I thought it was kind of on par with that. I mean, like I said, mostly I'm more interested in the scene, how it pertains to the rest of the movie and stuff like that. But I got to admit, the best CGI job that anybody has ever done, making someone look way worse than they ever could in their human form, is this right here. I mean, let's be honest.
He got it in. I didn't even see it coming. That's great.
No, dude.
I mean, would you rather mess with Sam Neill, or would you rather see this guy chasing you down a dark alley in the middle of the night?
Did they
both want to nibble on my neck, so I don't know. It's the same motivation.
I have to ask, are the piss stains in the front of the underwear CG piss stains, or was that shoot piss stains? Like, how did they get that?
I'm sure they're real, but I'm not even sure they're his.
May not be his own underwear. You don't know.
Maybe he got those underwear from Goodwill. I don't know.
Never buy secondhand underwear. I don't care how poor you are. Don't buy secondhand underwear.
There's a line you shouldn't cross. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
But so who do you want chasing you down a dark alley at night? Do you want the Sam Neill's character trying to drink your blood, or Thurman as well? But I didn't mind them. Like I said, it was 2009. This was before anything de-aging. Before, I mean, even the motion capture stuff that they do a lot now with like Andy Serkis was still like in its infancy. I mean, they weren't doing a lot of stuff like that at all. So it's like I give it a pass. The older movies, I give it a pass. Look, there are some 80s movies that the special effects hold up pretty well, mostly because they were practical. There are some like 90s, early 2000s movies that they spent a ton of money on special effects to make
Jurassic
it look real.
Park,
Look
the
at
dinosaurs still look awesome.
Yeah,
like that's 1993. That movie still looks crisp. I don't know how.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
But let's go into some of the trivia now. You know that Sam Neill. Where's my picture of Sam Neill? The one that I really like. I'll go to the one of him getting ready to die. Let's see.
Yes.
According to interviews, Sam Neill explained what made him decide to take the role in this film was the scene of the screenplay in which the businessman vampires buy morning coffee spiked with human blood.
God, see, some of that shit was just, again, the world building. I was like, first of all, I want to know what they used for the blood in this movie because I'm like, I want to know what was it, because the way it flowed, the viscosity of it, the way it like stuck to like the wine glass a little bit, it hesitates before it kind of comes back down.
It looked like a syrupy, like kind of like a Cairo syrup base almost.
It could, because like I've made out of like corn syrup, right? You get like corn syrup and some food coloring to get it to flow the right way, and then like the way it coats the glass is that thin little coat of like blood, and it goes down. I'm like, what? I just wanted I wanted to know what it tastes like. I'm sorry. I wanted to. That's the behind the scenes that I want to know.
It was either that, or they may have included like some red Jello mix to it to give it that deep red color. Because I've made fake blood before. That's kind of some of the elements that you use to get that. I don't know, but it almost had like a maroonish color to it. Yeah, very bright. Yeah,
like like with the coffee, I was like, the way you're zoomed in on that fucking coffee cup, you see him stirring, and it made me kind of like, I got a little uncomfortable because I'm like, then he scoops up that little bit and then like stirs it in again. I'm like, stop! Oh god, that's disgusting. Like, I get
but it seemed like there was two different kinds of blood though. The blood in the wine glass, that looked like it was more watered down whenever he swirls it. But that blood that from where Ethan Hawke's brother comes in and says, "Yeah, this is 100% pure." Whenever they knock that glass over, that looked like a pancake syrup kind of. Like that was a different blood than that other one was.
You know what that could have been, though? I mean, that could be a lot of other people's blood all congealed into one bottle. That may not have been one person. So,
and on top of that, I would imagine the blood that was in that bottle had been out for a while, and blood coagulates. Where the blood that Sam Neill was drinking was very fresh out of the one girl's body.
He just cut her.
It had time to coagulate, so that might be a difference.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, Sam Neill's a blood snob. He's sitting there like, I just got some footnotes of fear or whatever the fuck he said. Like, you asshole. I mean, dude, the balls. This guy is swirling a fucking wine glass of your blood right in front of you, like, and then just sipping it. I'm like, dude, what the hell is that? Oh, look at that. See, right from the nurse's mouth, right there. I was wondering that because I'm like, it was out in the open. He had it in the wine glass, and it was very dark. Yeah, air makes blood dark. Yeah, because I'm like, it's dark in color, and then when it dries like a dark brown or something. So, yeah. They really put, like I said, they put thought into this movie, and I appreciate that. It was very well done.
Yeah, let's see. Actually, the news that Edward was watching, Ethan Hawke's character that he was watching, is actually let's see. It says that it's showing the vampire riots over blood deprivation. That was not stuff filmed for the scene. It was actually stock footage of actual riots being put down by law enforcement back in the early 2000s.
Oh no.
You don't need to shoot B-roll. You've got 10 million hours of footage of people acting like assholes in the world, even back in 2009. You don't need to shoot B-roll for that.
That looks like L.A. 1992. Huh, wow.
Just watch your 9 o'clock news tonight. There'll be 15 different riots that you can cut into your fan film tomorrow. It's not hard to do. You just rip the footage. Do what you got to do, man.
Yeah. The scene where they test on the unwilling... or I guess willing.
Oh God, that was awesome.
Yeah, in the film's first screening, the scene in which the failed blood substitute causes the vampire patient's head to explode shortly after saying "ow" caused the test audience to erupt into a nervous laughter.
Yeah, because I don't think I expect. I mean, he's like, "Oh, I'm good." I threw up on the nurse, and then he's like, "Oh, ow!" But it just explodes all over the whole room. I was like, whoa.
I wonder how many takes that took. Like, how many times did that nurse have to get puked upon? Like, did they do that like 10 times or something? Because I guarantee you they did that more than once.
Some poor fucking intern has to go there. I get the squeegee. We're doing the window with Sam Neill. We gotta get that.
Clean the walls. We're going again.
I'm having some weird. What is that? Pulp Fiction. I'm having some weird vibes here. Like, all right, we're gonna be sitting here scrubbing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Winston Wolf's over there with the fucking. Come on, put your back into it.
This is actually one of several movies where Willem Dafoe has played a vampire. Most notable of which was Shadow of the Vampire in 2000, which he plays a fictionalized version of Max Schreck while he's filming Nosferatu. and also he played Graf Orlok in Nosferatu.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you can say he's in the new he's in the one he's in the one that's coming out this year, the new Nosferatu. I don't remember who he's playing, but he's in that one as well.
That'd be kind of fun, actually.
Let me go look real quick. I wonder what he is playing in that. I have to go look real quick.
I was about to say
I don't remember. I saw it on X one day, but I can't remember who he's playing in that film. I know Bill Skarsgård's playing Orlok. I can't remember who
he's playing. He's playing Professor Albin Eberhard von Frenz.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I am looking forward to that one though, because I watch a guy on YouTube. I can't remember his name. He has already seen the film. He said that the upcoming Nosferatu is much closer to the book than even the original movie was. So I don't know. Hopefully it's good.
Yeah, he's also going to be in Beetlejuice 2 when it comes out later this year, which whatever.
He plays a cop in that one. Technically they released the title it's not Beetlejuice 2, it's Beetlejuice is the official name for this movie, and I love it. Hopefully we get a 3 just so we can get, the whole 3 name. But yeah, he's playing a cop in that one, so he's playing an undead cop, I believe, is what I read.
Let's see I didn't get a good picture of that, so we'll just go to this picture. Let's see the vampire cavalry's ambush on the human survivor convoy in the desert was originally conceived as a vampire cavalry siege upon the human survivors' hideout, which was visualized as a Gothic mansion in the snowy mountains. This was changed to a convoy ambush due to budget constraints. I kind of like the way it turned out anyway.
Yeah, it's believable.
I mean,
kind of had that Luke Skywalker effect
they were driving around at night. It's like, it's easier for these vampires to run at night. Why aren't you rolling around at noon? That was the part of it. I was looking at it like, you're kind of walking into the lion's den and hoping the lion doesn't find you.
Right.
I mean, even those Humvees they had the windows blocked out and shit, and the guns on top. I'm like, damn. Like even the army's got essentially these impenetrable vehicles to hunt fucking humans with, which is really kind of fucked when you think about it.
Right.
Actually, I was gonna say the design of their suit was actually pretty fucking cool. The whole ballistic helmet around their whole face. And
little, and then it's got like the goggles on. Yeah.
Like that's probably where the camera's at, and they probably got like a feed right on their inside of their helmet or something. That was really cool.
The chest armor and the helmet kind of reminded me of what Glenn wears in season 3 of Walking Dead in the prison with the prison ride on.
The riot gear.
That helmet looked very similar design-wise to that. That would have been around the same time as they did that season as well.
Well, I was gonna say this was 2009. Season 1 was 2010, and then the prison was 2012. I mean, it could still be around.
Walking Dead may have,
That's not too far off. That's like 2012 when they were in the prison. So in 13.
But now that suit design was really cool. The way that they blacked it out to whatever. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, this is actually the third film that both. I have a picture of this one. This is actually the film that Sam Neill and Willem Dafoe collaborated in. The other is being Victory in 1996, which I've never seen, and The Hunter in 2011, which I've never seen, but I've always kind of wanted to.
Okay.
But I mean, these two, same screen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got to be good. It's got to be at the very minimum a pretty good movie to spend 2 hours watching.
I didn't see Willem Dafoe and Jurassic Park though, so
just because it's got Sam Neill doesn't mean it's good. Once again, I'll bring up his version of Damien in his Omen film. I think it's 4. I think it's the last one. Omen 4 is not good. Sam Neill's the best part of that movie, but it's pretty rough. Just fair warning if you watch it ahead of time.
Well, you're on the 4th movie of something like that. It's like, yeah, we're running out of
right. Yeah.
You got somebody with some gravitas that's playing the main possessed child. I'm like, right, but however, what are we doing?
Yeah. Sam Neill, he's like the best part of that whole thing.
Oh my god, I love that fucking Uncle Sam poster. That made me laugh. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever movies take something like that, the iconic like Uncle Sam, and they twist it to something really fucked up, I'm like, it just makes me smile. Especially that when they graffitied him and like, well, yeah, you captured all the humans. Now what? Like, right? That just
the makers of this
time clock.
Yeah, the makers of this movie actually hosted a contest on the website worth1000.com. It's a famous photo manipulation contest site to come up with images of how the world would look if nearly everyone were a vampire.
That's cool.
Huh.
They nailed it. I mean,
That's about
all
right.
I mean, there's some stuff that I think is kind of no-brainer. I mean, like everything happens at night as opposed to during the day, things like that. But I mean, like the general look. I'm actually kind of surprised, Jeremy, you're not wearing your contacts. I thought that I was watching the movie. I was like, I bet you Jeremy's going to put some contacts in for this.
I thought about it. And I'm such a damn stickler for like, if I had yellow ones, I would have worn them. But I'm like, I have white. They might have worked. I don't know. I'm like, I wouldn't feel right. I'm not wearing the fucking red ones again. Tex knows that for damn sure.
Yeah, no. God bless Jeremy. He sat there for 3 hours trying not to die on screen, blinking to death. I mean, the second we got off of air, he's ripping that crap out of his head. That was something.
Yeah, that.
Now, one thing I will say about they must have had a meeting in Hollywood in the early 2000s for like, okay, anybody who makes a vampire film, like everybody just wears all black. It's always dark, gloomy, and gothy because this world and the world in Underworld, you could mash the two and you wouldn't notice a difference. They look so similar to one another. It's crazy how close the environments are for those two sets of films, which, I mean, it's not a bad design. It's just eerily similar. Like in Underworld, it's like kind of always raining. It's like more Gotham City comic book, and this is more like Christopher Nolan version of Gotham. You know what I mean?
Speaking of Willem Dafoe, it was like, you know, the John Wick series even had that kind of dark, gloomy tone as well, and he was in that. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it works as set design.
2000s. Look at what I'm wearing. You really? I was sitting there like Brie Larson, like, is that a personal attack or something? Like, no?
You bunch of sad boys and your emo music. Good Lord.
Hey, you know what? You can thank 9/11 for this band.
Oh yeah, we're gonna. You really want to thank 9/11? Is that something you want to do?
No, well, thank you, but wait, I should have said thanks for the memories. Do you want to take two on that one? That's solid, boy. I tried. That joke is so fucking overplayed now, where it's like 9/11 caused this. I'm like, it caused everything at this fucking point. At this point, it probably caused Harambe, which caused, you know, where we're at now at this point, because everything.
I think they're on the internet. They're called icebergs.
Yeah, where you start.
Yeah. It starts at the top and like all the stuff's at the bottom. I don't know. I come across these videos. I watched about 2 minutes of one once, and I was like, this is just too convoluted, bullshitty.
Just because it becomes like a whole hour of like it really gets into some shit. I'm like, right, but I don't have. Well,
when you get past that 12th or 13th degree of separation, you're kind of like, you're kind of stretching it. It's really hard to draw that kind of a connection between some of
like things. Someone just did that with Oppenheimer. They're like, yeah, 9/11 is the reason Oppenheimer is winning all these awards. I'm like, let's hear him out. How are you gonna, you know? It's I don't know. It's up to the point where like, yeah, 9/11. Then Gerard Way made My Chemical Romance, and then that caused shit. Oh, it was a big influence on Stephanie Meyer. Stephanie Meyer made Twilight. Made Twilight and some of my fanfic Twilight, which gave us 50 Shades of Grey, which 50 Shades of Grey then gave us she what's her face? Dakota Johnson went on Ellen and basically talked so much shit about Ellen. Ellen got canceled. Good riddance, bye.
Come on, complete the loop. You're almost there.
It was something with Pattinson, which is funny because Pattinson was in that movie Remember Me, which was about 9/11, which I don't know why the fuck it was about that. But he gave a book he got hired for Tenet from Christopher Nolan, and he gave Christopher Nolan this book that was about Oppenheimer or some shit, and obviously he made Oppenheimer, so there you go. I don't know.
Okay.
That was impressive.
It was something. It was like, at this point, like, I don't know, like, I could thank 9/11 for me and Frank going to go see Oppenheimer, because guess what? We went to go see the movie. Like, it's just so dumb.
If you wanted to take it further, you could go with the whole Robert Pattinson, Christopher Nolan, Batman, one did it before, then blah blah blah. You could go even further with this if you wanted to. And Dark Knight Rises being very, nuclear bomb city, and you could take this all kinds of ways. There's more ways to go.
Now Dakota Johnson's Madam Web, so now we're gonna make a new web from that.
Hey,
and the beginning of all this was Barry Allen going back in time to save his mom. That's what did it all. That's what started. That's the top of the iceberg.
Hey, I will go see Madam Web for 2 words: Sydney Sweeney. That's all I need to go see. I'm going to see Madam Web, by God. So I'll be there.
Fair enough. But one more piece of trivia. I'm actually kind of disappointed there wasn't more trivia about this movie. But the scene in which Audrey orders Edward to drink some of her blood was not originally scripted. The idea was instead conceived during rehearsals by the actors Claudia Carvin and Ethan Hawke.
It felt kind of natural in the moment where they're still trying to establish that trust. Like he redirected the cops away from them when he first found them. So it's kind of like they're like, look, we know we can trust you, and they're like, hey, look, we mean well. Like, hey, I'm gonna, like it or not, we're gonna help you out here, and I need you to be on your fucking A game. So, or your A positive game.
Well, put that picture of those two back up for a minute, Frank. You don't mind? Well, the first thing I thought of when I saw that, I said, if we ever need a new Han Solo, I think I know a guy. Did anybody else think that?
Yeah.
He's probably getting a little old for Han Solo now. But
okay. If 2009 needed a Han Solo, I knew a guy. You know what I'm saying?
I've been a fan of Ethan Hawke since the 80s. You want to know how far back I've been watching Ethan Hawke? Do you guys? Tex might. I guarantee that this was 10 or 12 years before Jeremy was even born. There was a movie in the 80s called Explorers. Tex may know this movie. You're getting into some obscure 80s crazy sci-fi.
I don't know.
Shit. It's got a young Ethan Hawke, a young River Phoenix, and some other guy whose name I can't remember because I never saw him in anything else.
That hurts.
Basically, it's
that one didn't sound familiar.
It's these 3 kids that basically use a bunch of junkyard shit to build a spaceship, and they end up traveling out to space. It's a very weird 80s sci-fi crazy shit. I
don't get it. I'm not a big sci-fi guy, so that's probably why I never noticed it.
I'm not even sure where I would find it. Because I know I had it on video for a long time when I was a kid. Just over the years, all the videos that my parents had just kind of like died or whatever.
That sounds like a mission that was in Fallout. I'm trying to remember if it was Vegas or
1985, baby.
Nice.
Middle schooler Ben spends his free time watching sci-fi films, playing video games, and reading comic books. That's us.
I hadn't even been born for 2 years yet. I was born in 87, so I wasn't here yet.
Fantastical yields a real result when he has a vivid dream about technology. His prodigy best friend Wolfgang, played by River Phoenix, manages to create a working spacecraft. Joined by their buddy Darren, the boys take off into outer space and encounter some very odd extraterrestrial life. And it's on Hoopla. It was on Paramount Plus. I have Paramount Plus. Hey. I think I know what I'll be watching this weekend.
He's about to go back. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's very very obscure 80s teenage sci-fi, but yeah, that's how far I go back with Ethan Hawke.
When it comes to 80s movies, I'm over there with like the schlocky horror. I don't get into the sci-fi much, so I've never seen that one.
Yeah, it's something. Don't ever watch that movie expecting to see a good movie. It's very 80s stupid teen. It's got the cute blonde girl, which every good movie in the 80s had.
Of course,
it's got some pretty. Now the alien suits, well, the alien effects are not bad for 1985. They're actually fairly good. I think they hold up pretty well. But it's definitely it's a movie. It's like I said, you'll watch it, you'll be entertained. It's entertaining like we watch something like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's something like kind of like that, only not.
I love that movie.
Well, because I'm thinking, I'm like, did they, or was it their imagination?
No, it was all very real to them anyway. But I mean, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's on Paramount Plus. Go check it out, guys. But that's all the really good stuff I had. I mean, there was other stuff. It just wasn't very. I mean, Ethan Hawke was the director's only choice for the lead role. It makes sense. They just done a movie together a year earlier. But Yeah, I'm really bummed that after so many years. I mean, like I said, it's been 15 years or so since this movie came out. We don't have better. We don't have better trivia, but maybe they just weren't keeping track of shit all that well. Let's see.
There was that pesky housing market crash a year before. Gosh darn it!
Please. Let's see. It says Hawke was initially hesitant to join the production as he was not a big fan of genre films. He ultimately accepted the role as Edward after deciding the story felt different from that of a typical B movie. Hawke described the film as an allegory of man's pacing with natural resources. We're eating our own resources, so people are trying to come up with blood substitutes, trying to get us off of foreign humans. So, of course, there's got to be some message in it or whatever. Actor also said that despite the serious allegory, the film was low art and completely unpretentious and silly. I don't know if it was. I don't know if I'd call it silly. I actually thought it was a pretty good movie.
They didn't really beat you over the head. It was just like, hey, this is what happened to the world. And it's like, yeah, I believe that. Like, you didn't really have to, like Frank said, you didn't really have to explain anything to me. That you're just like, yeah, it just happened, and you just know that this thing happened 10 years ago, and you're like, this is where we're at. And I'm like, yeah. And with the world building and the stuff you've shown me, I'm like, I believe this. So now I'm here for like, okay, so what are we doing? For the story.
How many zombie movies have we seen where we just enter in with the world already being the way that it is, and we don't get told why? I mean, go look at Dawn of the Dead from 2004, one of the best zombie movies ever made.
It happens.
It just happens. You don't know. You don't get, a bat bit of blah, blah, blah. And it's not like Contagion, where at the end of the movie where they, a bat was in a crate of pigs and then blah, blah, blah. They don't tell you, sometimes not knowing is better. And, that it's kind of like, how many times do you need to see, Krypton explode and Batman's parents get shot? You just live it. You just know, what I mean?
Well, you gave me the rabid monkeys in the beginning of 28 Days Later. I was like, holy shit.
Right.
That was okay. I mean, it didn't explain. You kind of get the point. The irony that these activists were trying to help the animals out of the cages because they were being experimented on. I'm like, and then you fucked the entire world because you let these rabid monkeys out and they fucking killed everybody. Good job.
This movie wasn't about how the plague started. It was how it ends. And to be fair, they didn't even end the plague in this movie. They just took care of one city. The rest of the world is still infected as far as we know. That's why I say this is a lot like the Resident Evil movies, because Alice has to go from umbrella corporations all over the world, from America, from Raccoon City to Tokyo to, wherever she goes in all of those films. So the vampires are still out there. Just this one city was took care of. We don't even know if the whole city was fixed, just that one building as far as, we're shown. So
we're opening up the community pool. We're having the beach day, and then we're all jumping in. We're going to solve this shit.
That's what I'm saying. This could have been a series of films if it had been a success, but it only made what you said, $50 million. So it's no wonder why they didn't make another one.
Yikes.
But
actually, what was the, I'm kind of curious what no, I can't spell today. I wonder what the budget and the other shit was. Let's see. Hey, 69%. Nice. On Rotten Tomatoes.
What's the poll tied at, Frank? I can't see it because I'm on here.
43% say it's great. 43% say it's good.
I think it's great. I can't go vote, but I'll vote great. So. Bro.
Budget was 20 million. Box office was 51.4 million. So I mean, really, I guess it was technically a success, but nothing like earth-shattering.
Well, if they had made a sequel,
which is what you want to do. So I mean, I guess it did that at least.
They could have made a sequel for cheaper. I mean, obviously Sam Neill's not coming back, so you're not going to have to pay him a big,
and Ethan Hawke.
A big money. Ethan Hawke is still going to make money. You could kill off
definitely come back.
Willem Dafoe's Elvis character early in the movie, so you don't have to pay him as much money, and you still could have done a good film. But it only made $50 million. So what are you going to do?
Well, and also in 2009, so I don't know that. Again, that's still a success, but again, nothing. It sucks.
It's financially successful. Yeah.
Well, the problem with Disney and Marvel is you made this it's the always going bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can't. You got hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars being made or lost in this case, which is what's happening.
Well,
I digress. You have that now. It's like, well, that's kind of a weird, scale to be.
You have to remember, if a horror film makes $100 million, that's a huge success because that's a much smaller audience than Iron Man. You know what I'm saying? So the people that are going to pay to go see it are much less. But I mean, hell, whenever Halloween 2018 made $250 million, people were losing their minds because that had never happened in horror before for a slasher like that. So, I mean, you have to look at it in its own perspective.
That seems like a good place to start wrapping things up. Again, I wish I had better trivia for this, but I mean, there really just wasn't much to work with. I found a couple of bangers though. But starting to wrap this up now, I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Give me your final thoughts on Daybreakers.
I'm trying to look at inflation calculators because I'm a millennial, and I do that on the regular.
What the hell?
Just so I can feel something. Okay. That's the movie. So yeah, I honestly, again, like I've said a few times, I come home from work and I am absolutely as soon as I sit down, it's over. Like I'm out. But this movie definitely kept my attention, and again, I was like in it. I mean, maybe if you see who I'm wearing, the way I dress constantly, it looked like an Evanescence video, and I was like, right. I love this. Again, I was like, I already was like, oh, I know I'm gonna like this now. I'm like, I think I hit play real fast. I kind of forgot what the movie was about. I knew it was vampires, but then I read the first little bit, like, oh, the world got turned into vampires, and now they're on a blood shortage. So I was like, ooh, okay, that sounds kind of fun. And it drew me right in, and I was like, this is actually kind of interesting, and it was a fun ride, and I definitely think, that. I don't want to turn into dead meat, but I think Golden Chainsaw definitely goes to Sam Neill. The way that was shot and the way he was pulled apart, they like ripped his head off, like it was freaking Mortal Kombat. And the cool, I mean, to me, maybe just artistically, the fact that the camera like flipped, like how a bat hangs upside down, they had the head up and then the door shut. I was like, okay, that was cool. That was very fucking cool. Yeah, and it had subplots that you still cared about, like you're still hanging on to, like, okay, what's going on with Sam Neill's daughter? What's going on with Ethan Hawke's brother here? And it had like a kind of a twist that, like, you had this weird freak accident that somehow gave you the cure for, I guess, kind of a cure for vampirism, and then that had a twist in itself that if it had like they really straight up pulled a reverse Uno card. Like, if a vampire bites you now, if you've been cured, now they turn back into a human anyway. I'm like, that's funny. That's just funny to me. Now, as we saw how it kind of went eye for an eye there at the end, I'm like, yeah, this may not really pan out unless we communicate. Hey, just take a nibble, guys, and just move on. Just down the line. Let's go. Let's be cool here. Yeah, but very cool movie, and honestly, I think I agree with Tex. Like, I would definitely watch this again. It's something I wouldn't mind watching again for sure. And I don't know how it just went over my head in 2009.
Well, I mean, they make 3,000 movies a year. We can't watch them all. Hard as we might try, we can't watch them all.
Like I said, I was still going to Blockbuster in 2009. So for all the kids who don't know,
for all the movie reviews that we do, Jeremy still hasn't seen half the MCU. So I mean, there's only so much time in the day.
Excuse me.
Just quit with Endgame and you'll be fine.
I know. I got the cliff notes. I know how we got there. I know where we're at now. It's fine.
Tex, how about you? What are your final thoughts on Daybreakers?
Yeah, fun play on the vampire lore. Excellent cast. Willem Dafoe was awesome as Elvis. Sam Neill killed it. Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke is one of those guys that he's done a lot of good work, but he never really quite got leading man kind of thing, and I don't really know why, but he's always been awesome. I'd recommend go watch him in the first Purge. He was pretty good in that one too. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. This will be a regular. I'm gonna have to put this one in the rotation of things that I come back to, semi regularly or whatever. But yeah, I think Jeremy's got something important to say, so I'm gonna yield the rest of my time to him.
And I had the floor. No, real quick. I'm glad you said the purge because I thought of that too, and I'm like that same like when he's pulling into his like gated ritzy.
I was waiting for those blue flowers to come out.
I support the blue bloods because this has to be Morbius again. Yeah, I was getting the same kind of vibes. I'm like, oh yeah, he's like some rich guy who's a hematologist doctor. So I was like, yeah, this still feels like that same like the purge where it's got because. I don't know why I was sitting there like all of a sudden when they just turned the corner and hilariously says, oh, back door's ajar. I'm like, well, who? What? All of a sudden that fucking man-bat vampire thing just comes right in. I was like, oh, hi, where the hell did you come from? And they're like, oh, yeah, they've been creeping into the nice neighborhoods now. I'm like, oh, my God, this is the purge with vampires. Like, this is cool.
Well, how funny is it he's a Ethan Hawke plays a security expert in the purge. And here his security system fails and Man-Bat comes in trying to kill him. I found that very funny. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clark, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Again, like I said, it's really easy to, like when you say vampire movie, to just be like, oh yeah, Castle in Transylvania, I want to suck your blood, that kind of thing. It's really, really hard to take this. I mean, look, vampires have been a thing in cinema since cinema's been a thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
we did Nosferatu a while back. That movie is literally 100 years old. So 100 years ago, a century ago, they were doing vampire movies. So it's one of those genres. It's like you really have to try hard to make it fresh and new because. I mean, and yeah, sure, Twilight put a different spin on it. It wasn't good as far as I'm concerned, but I mean, they at least tried, and I give them an A for effort. But to kind of work in the social commentary of corporate greed and maybe you're kind of throwing some shade at a pharmaceutical company, albeit a made up one, to kind of bring attention to that, to use that as a plot device is actually a pretty smart way. Yes, and to use that as a plot device it's actually pretty smart to kind of not just go back to the medieval times of Vlad the Impaler and try to do it like that and just rely on a lot of blood, but to really give it better characters and to do something different with it. I thought they did a fantastic job with this movie. It's Ethan Hawke is fantastic. He has been for a long time. Willem Dafoe, Sam Neill, whatever. He's great. And then, just enough good special effects to kind of to satisfy the visual stuff. But I mean, this movie isn't like other horror movies. It's something different. It really does. It's kind of like the Joker. It kind of it's much more of a character study of vampires rather than just the whole, turning into vampire bats and sleeping in coffins and stuff like that. The tropes. They kind of ignore the tropes. They're kind of in here subtly. Like sunlight. I mean, obviously, there's not a whole lot of people eating garlic bread in this movie. I mean, they still have those tropes are still there, but they're not like the only thing that kind of they don't run over this movie with the tropes. They're very subtle and they're just kind of like part of the world rather than the focus. So, but again, it's like even as vampires, humans are going to be asshole humans to one another. I mean, because the vampires are still human, they're just the other humans haven't turned. So it's class warfare just from a totally different weird angle. It's the vampires against the humans. It's a different kind of civil war in a way. But a very well done film. It's a fresh take on something that is literally a century or more old of that whole story, and I thought it was very well done. I'm kind of hoping that the directors of this movie will do something else because I mean it's not a bad track record to start with, and they've apparently been doing this for a while. They just don't have a long.
Do a Jigsaw too. I'd be all right with that. You saying?
They can do Saw 11. Tex has his window now. Now he's gonna be like tweeting at him like, guys, come on, it's right there. Right there. Logan's right there.
Tobin Bell's not getting any younger. We can get at least 3 more movies out of him.
It's only a matter of time before we're going to have to actually turn him into a vampire to keep making movies. So you best get on top of this thing, boys. So.
Well, we have AI now. They can just AI create his face on stuff, I guess, right? Isn't that a thing?
I would be okay with an AI Tobin Bell if that meant I could get like Saw 55 and 70. I'm down with that. I'm cool.
Yeah, he's still going to be alive.
It's all good.
Saw movies for the next 50 fucking years, every year right in a row.
Hey, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. That's the tagline. You can't get away from it. Just saying.
Yeah.
Thanks to my amazing co-host for coming in here and hanging out and talking about this really fun movie with us. Starting with my hetero life mate, Jeremy. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Well, I'm here. I'll still say it. Same bat time, same bat channel. What kind of bat? That's up for you to
It
decide.
fits. It fits.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
The pun was there. Yeah. I'm not going to hang upside down from the ceiling, though, so you can forget about that one. Yeah. Actually, did we do 2 Bat movies in a row? Did we just do Batman? Or no, we did
not in a row.
No, okay.
Not in a row, no.
No, you're right. You're right. That would have been funnier. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm here. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and I continue to suck at Fortnite, but I don't stream it because I would be angrily just emailing it to Epic Games every single day. Because, for fuck's sake, please fix your shit. But that's my little side rant. Shit, tomorrow, speaking of bats, the new Suicide Squad game comes out, so that'll be pretty fun. I like how now
I've already watched the gameplay footage. Oh boy. I won't spoil, but I've seen it. It's
set in the Arkham game, so I'm like, that's kind of fun, and it's apparently like a bigger world than Arkham Knight's world. I'm like, Jesus, that's insane to me. And now, like a day before this all came out, they're like, I'm gonna do the glasses too. They're like, well, actually, this wasn't actually Kevin Conroy's last outing as Batman. I'm like, whatever. You don't market that and then take it away from him a day before the fucking game comes out. Like, yeah, he posthumously may have had something in this and in this Crisis of Infinite Earth, whatever the fuck. I'm like, and something for the animated series, which I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's over, but I don't know. Just whatever. Let him have it. I don't know. I'm interested in this game. I've maybe it's because I purposely tried to not look at anything for it, just to be excited about it. Because, hey, you're the Suicide Squad. Your thing is to kill the Justice League. So
it's in the title.
Yeah, you're trying to kill Batman, the one who does have a contingency on how to kill the Justice League if they should go off the rails. So you're trying to kill the guy that knows how to kill the Justice League. So it's not prep time. Yeah, good luck with that.
And to my good friend from down south, the shape from Lone Star State, my man Tex. Where can the folks at home find you, sir?
We'll be here next Tuesday and Thursday talking about some nonsense that we all enjoy. Since this is a vampire film, I feel like it's only appropriate to recommend another, much beloved, some hated vampire film of the 2000s. And I'm not talking about Twilight, Jim, because I wouldn't do that to you.
You saw me sitting like, come on, I'm going to interrupt it. Twilight.
No, as much as I like to see people suffer, I can't even recommend that level of torture. I'm going to go check out Underworld. Kate Beckinsale in tight black leather. Who's against that? Come on. I mean, just saying. I think everybody loves that. So go check out some Underworld fun. I'm going to watch it tonight. I feel inspired to watch another vampire deal. So that's what I'm going to go do. So you follow my advice if you choose.
Vampires and lichens, baby. Let's go.
Werewolves, all of them. Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
As for me, we're going to dip away from the horror, but go into an absolute banger. One of the best movies I think I've ever seen. On Tuesday, you're going to say hello to my little friend. We're going to be breaking down Scarface.
God,
not the original.
No.
Believe it or not, this is a remake. We'll talk about it, but this is actually a remake of a movie from the 1930s.
I'm so fucking ready.
Of which I have seen the original and this one.
I have seen. I own both versions. I've got the 1930s version, and of course, I have the one from the 80s. Oh my god, I'm so ready.
I have both versions. Yes.
Okay.
Are you providing the cocaine for us, or do we need to get it for ourselves for the review?
No,
you're better. A lot closer to the source than we are.
Also, I need to mail it to y'all. Okay, I'm just curious how we're going to do this.
Even better. I don't know. I mean, Frank's seen me in real life. I don't know, Tex, if you've ever actually noticed, I actually have a scar right here on my middle of my face, right where he has one. Right there in the same spot.
I got one right here on my cheek I got cut from a piece of glass.
Ugh. Yeah, I got one right in the same damn spot. So I might have to break out the pinstripe suit, and I may just take a little white dab of white makeup and just go boop right there.
I might just have to do some cocaine because Frank told me to. And whenever the judge asked me, "Sir, how come you did drugs?" I'm going to blame the harsh truth. That's going to be my excuse.
It was the Mexicans, Judge. It was the Mexicans.
Oh yeah, and my lip. My lip is actually split in half too, but you would never know.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to talking about Scarface. That is one of my favorite films. Absolute banger. Maybe one of Pacino's top 3. I mean, bare minimum, if not his best. I mean, it's up there with The Godfather. Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to breaking that down. Then, of course, later on in the month, we're going to be returning to the DC universe. We'll break down the second movie in the Superman and Batman original runs from Christopher Reeves and the other one from Michael Keaton, and then after that,
Batman Returns, baby.
Because those are the 2 Batman movies that still exist. We might do Superman 3 because I don't think it's a bad movie, but it wasn't as good as the other 2.
God.
Yeah, definitely more stuff coming up. Our next new review, well, Madam Web's going to be coming up. Before we get to the DC stuff, we're going back to the Marvel, not MCU, but Sony Spider-Man universe. Madam Web's Marvel in about a week and a half. So I think next week is when the movie comes out. So
it's got Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson in tight outfits. You have my attention, sir. So that's why I'm going to see this film.
And again, you can thank 9/11 for that.
Yes. So
hang on. I mentioned the 19 and you go 9/11. It's a wonder why we had technical problems. Just say it.
We're not monetized for a reason. My bad.
You guys are just kicked off the air. But thanks to my amazing co-host for coming to hang out with us as always. Thanks to all of you for coming to kick it with us. Van, always good to see you back here. It ended up a tie. 43% said it was great. 40% of you said it was good. One of you said it was meh. Nobody said it was straight poop because Casey was apparently playing with his video games. But we will see you guys on Tuesday to break down what I just say we were doing. Scarface. Adios. Merman
is wrong.
He's not. That's why he didn't.
He's back from the alleyway.
He is.
I wonder what Thurman would look like as a vampire. Like that would be interesting to see.
Yellow eyes and some blood dribbling down.
He would look like Biff with yellow eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe some blood.